The Clone Wars is certainly living up to its name in Season 7. This first story arc is very heavy on both clones and wars, but as is too often the case with arcs that stretch out into 4 full episodes, the formula is starting to wear thin as we get closer to the end. Even as it finds new ways to spice up Captain Rex and the Bad Batch's mission, On the Wings of Kiridax misses some key storytelling opportunities. The good news is that this episode doesn't fall into the same patterns as the previous 2 chapters when it comes to the action scenes. Rather than showing scene after scene of Rex's team shooting down ineffectual droid enemies in narrow corridors, Episode 3 focuses on both opening up the scale of the action and mixing up the scenarios facing our heroes. Where Episode 2 sometimes struggled to create a legitimate sense of danger, particularly with a Jedi as powerful as Anakin backing up the team, this follow-up is much better about creating a sense of a small team facing overwhelming odds. That's especially true in the climax of the episode where our heroes join forces with the Politicans to face the full might of the Techno Union. That battle scene is pure Star Wars, with heroes triumphing against a vastly larger force and causing plenty of destruction along the way. The same sense of danger and overwhelming odds is also apparent in the opening sequence, one that's vaguely reminiscent of the cell block shootout from A New Hope. Wrecker is even teed up to make a heroic sacrifice here. While that death doesn't come to pass, the possibility is upsetting enough. This Bad Batch storyline has done a very efficient job at introducing these new characters and making us care about them in a short span of time. What are the odds all 4 of them make it out alive next week? Unfortunately, this episode's relentless focus on action and lopsided battles means it does surprisingly little to actually take advantage of Echo's return. Echo himself seems to shrug off his long captivity with ease, reverting almost immediately to his old dynamics with Rex and Anakin. We don't get a clear sense of the psychological toll of his captivity, or what Rex is feeling now that his hopes have been realized. As long as this story arc is, you'd think there'd be more time to slow down and deliver those little character moments that made the first 2 episodes so enjoyable.
Thanks for coming after me. That's what brothers do. I'm just sorry it took so long.
Hopefully, Episode 4 can make up for lost time on that front. It's also disappointing how this episode deals with the notion of the Politicans being caught in the crossfire. There's something tragic about how they've been unwillingly dragged into the Clone Wars, despite their best efforts to remain safe and isolated. But rather than treat them as unfortunate collateral damage in Rex's selfish rescue mission, they're depicted as reluctant soldiers who just need a good pep talk. It feels like there should be a little more nuance to this conflict, a greater emphasis on how the heroes of the Republic can bring devastation despite their best intentions. But that's always been a flaw with the Clone Wars. For all its efforts to make good on the idea of there being heroes on both sides, too often it reverts to a Republic good, Separatist bad mentality.
It's hard to compete with a Jedi.
Like so many longer Clone Wars story arcs, the Bad Batch storyline is struggling to maintain momentum over the long run. While On the Wings of Kiridax succeeds in shaking up the formula and giving Rex and his team bigger and badder threats to deal with, this episode fails to make much room for character development. There's little focus on Echo's reaction to being rescued from Techno Union slavery, nor does this episode truly explore the moral dilemma involved in dragging the Politicans into war. Hopefully, the 4th and final episode can address these missteps. For more on the Clone Wars, check out our series recap in 4 minutes and our review of Episode 2. For everything else, subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.